Welcome to the Growth Shift. I'm David Zilstra. Here's what I've learned after years in business. Every leader who's built something meaningful has a story, but the moment they had to shift, when failure forced innovation, when change became opportunity, when they chose growth over comfort. On this show, we dive into those pivotal moments, the setbacks that became breakthroughs, the strategic shifts that accelerated growth, and the frameworks that turn obstacles into opportunities. Because here's the truth. In a world where change is the only constant, the leaders who thrive aren't the ones who avoid failure. They're the ones who've learned to shift strategically through it. So whether you're facing your own pivot point or just want to learn from someone who's been there, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. This episode is brought to you by Valentix. At Valentix, we help coaches and consultants who are struggling with generating consistent high-quality leads, automating their client onboarding processes, and scaling their operations without simply adding more hours or headcount. Most of the time, our clients come to us frustrated because they're bogged down in manual tasks and feel like they're missing out on the power of modern technology. But with the right strategy and AI-powered solutions, they're able to streamline their workflows, attract better opportunities, and achieve sustainable growth. If that sounds like you or someone you know, learn more at valentix.io. Now let's dive into today's episode. Today, we're thrilled to welcome Lorenz, the founder of Top Floor Mentoring. With an impressive 37 years of experience in business, including a decade running a successful marketing agency, Laura has pivoted her expertise to empower emerging leaders and small businesses. She's not just a seasoned mentor, she's also on the cutting edge, leveraging AI daily to drive efficiency and innovation in her own business. Laura brings a wealth of practical knowledge and a forward-thinking approach that I know our audience will find incredibly valuable. Laura, welcome to the Growth Shift.
Thanks, David. I'm glad to be here today.
It's a pleasure to have you on the show. Now, Laura, you've had quite a journey in business, from owning a marketing agency for a decade, now leading Top Floor Mentoring. Could you walk us through your path and how those early experiences shaped where you are today?
I enjoyed and loved having the marketing agency, but we had gotten so big that we were working with medium-sized businesses that could afford like $15,000 a month for marketing. And I'll be honest, those aren't the type of companies that are my favorite to work with.
Right.
So I left to work with small business and entrepreneurs and young professionals. And that was kind of the beginning of a pivot to then COVID, which was a lovely time for us all. And that's actually when I made the pivot from purely marketing into mentoring for business. Because I have so much business experience. Marketing is everything about your business, pretty much. So, and I have an accounting degree, so it all kind of fit really nicely. And I was blessed that my coach took me on to kind of give me some guidance on how to do that during COVID when he still had customers and I did not.
That's incredible. There's something that I would love to just learn a little bit more about before we take a look at that pivot. I mean, you mentioned that you were starting to work with mid-sized businesses, many of which, had a marketing budget of $15,000 a month or more, I'm sure as well, but you didn't feel like it was right for you. Maybe you didn't feel satisfied. You weren't working with the right people for your preferences. Right. A lot of coaches, consultants, and mentors would hear $15,000 a month. Hey, that's pretty good, and those can grow. I mean, what really led you to the decision of, I want to step back from that, and I want to work with smaller businesses?
Money has never been my motivator. It's helping people, and it's helping people grow in their business. And for me, when we got to the point where we were working with the medium-sized businesses, it didn't feel like they were appreciating the help that we were giving them. Mm-hmm. And so I went back to small business because they do. They see everything you've done for them, and they're thankful and happy. And they're not going, what are you going to do for me tomorrow? They're going, wow, this has just been an amazing ride so far. So that's really what was the whole thing. I'm more motivated on helping people than I am making big bucks.
Fantastic. And of course, mid-sized companies, they've kind of figured out some things, right? They've got departments, they've got teams. Maybe you can't have so much of an impact as you can with a small business who's maybe still struggling with certain aspects as well. So You got to a point where you felt, perhaps just solely marketing and working with mid-size companies wasn't right for you. And you're mentioning a bit of a pivot from there and COVID. I mean, what happened through those times that, really just started to reshape the way that you think and operate?
Well, there were 6 months after I left the marketing agency pre-COVID. Bad time to start a new company, but who knew, right? So I went back to doing strategy, business strategy, which is what I love. It's like, let's look at the big picture, because so many small businesses and solo entrepreneurs don't spend the time to put this whole strategy together. They go out, I know what to do, they go out running, and then they hit roadblocks of things they never thought of before, right? Because who knew what they were going to be like when they ran a business? And so I went to my personal business coach and said, I really love what you do for me. Teach me everything you know how you got to be who you are. And he did, and it was an amazing ride. I mean, I learned so much, and you would think that, this was 5 years ago. I've had all of this business experience. Why do I need a coach? Well, you do. You just do. I mean, for me, it's having somebody hold me accountable for the things that I say I would do, because there's nobody, when you're a solopreneur, behind you going, hey, did you do what you said, or are you on some weird, tangential something that you need to come back and go, this is why I'm in business, right? So that was a great ride. But again, it's funny, as you get older, you close more doors than you open. I don't know if that makes any sense, but we were working with CEOs, right, who are a little bit older, they're a little more set in their ways. And so what I was finding is we'd be working together, great, yay, let's do this. They'd shift, it would last a little bit, and then something would happen that made them uncomfortable. And it was so much easier to go back to the way they were doing it, because that's what they knew. And again, my goal is really helping and elevating people. So if I'm banging my head against the wall because I can't figure out how to help these guys be where they want to be, then I need to find something that's making me happy, right? So that's when I went out on my own. And the pivot was really, as I was closing doors, what I was finding is I love working with young professionals, because they are not afraid to change and go over the hard parts and that kind of thing. And they are also so in awe of what you can do when you have someone behind you, right? And so they're just so happy to be helped. And that's what makes my heart soar.
That's incredible. And Laura, you highlighted something there earlier that I think is important for all of our listeners, is that there's always someone who knows more. I mean, here you are, you're a business coach, you have a coach yourself, right? There's always someone who can help you develop further. And I mean, it sounds like initially you were in a position working with some established or older business owners, and maybe they were a little bit stuck in their ways, maybe not so open to mentorship and open-minded to change. But it sounds like you found that in perhaps younger business owners as well, really, where you can have the greatest impact. Can you tell us, Laura, tell us a little bit more about Top Floor Mentoring? Like, who specifically do you help? Do you help everybody across the board, or is there a specific type of client or business that you really love?
Everybody in the world needs a mentor. Right. However, having had a marketing agency, I have to hit myself a lot, because I'm like, wait, I always told people to niche down and talk about specific places they were. So I've always been B2B. I love working with service industry and tech. And service is also a huge, I know, very hard to wrap your head around what. So think about businesses that help other businesses, like law firms and accounting firms and things like that.
Fantastic. Do you have any specific stories that you could share with us about that does really display how it is you help businesses grow, evolve, and you provide them with the mentorship that they're in need of?
Yes, I do. I had been working with a graphic artist who at the time hired me to help him change where he was going with business. And so he went to, I really think that I can help people understand how to find their ideal client. Big jump, right? From I'm a graphic artist to now I'm going to be this coach helping people find their ICP. And, he was really excited about it. So I said, all right, let's put the plan together. Let's do it. And about 6 months into it, he was like, I'm really good at graphic arts. He said, this is harder than it looks. And I said, yeah, pivoting in a business is very hard. So he decided to go back and we built the plan, and we worked together for another 2 years, and I was able to increase his monthly income. I doubled it for him. So pretty significant. He was very happy. And he said, I have to let you go for a little while because I'm so busy I don't have time to talk to you. I was like,
Amazing. And so he tried to pivot and he realized maybe that wasn't the way that he wanted to go.
correct, correct. And part of it is a lot of times as solopreneurs, we see these things that are going on outside of our business, and we look and we say, oh, that might be a whole lot easier to do than what I'm doing, because the first 2 to 3 years in business I'm going to be really honest, it's a struggle. If you make it past there, you're golden, but it's hard those first 3 years because you don't have steady income, right? Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, he saw a shiny object and I let him go there for a little while, and then I went, okay, let's go back.
Oh, that's great. You kind of, you gave him some length, right?
Yep. Oh, yeah. I wasn't going to say this is a dumb idea. I was just like, okay, let's put the plan together and let's go for it and see how it goes.
Amazing. And then, he realized a few months later, this isn't, what I'm best at. He came back to it and you helped him double his income. I mean, that's incredible. Is this, something that you can do often for businesses, or do you find that, it's more difficult for people if maybe they're not so open-minded, or, what's really the highest indicators of someone that you can help the best?
Well, it is somebody that's open to looking at their business maybe a little differently, getting organized, because to me, systems and processes, if you don't have them there in your business, you're running wild. And as you grow, you can't help anybody come into your company and say, this is how we do it, right? If you don't have a process. So somebody that's open, somebody that's willing to put in systems and processes, and it's somebody who really loves their business and cares about their customers.
Amazing. So, I mean, like, you're having impact through helping people and create more impact, people that they care about, things that they want to do, and all of this as well. You mentioned something a moment ago, those first couple years of struggle in business. So if we could put you back in those shoes again right now, or even with where you're at today, whatever makes sense. If we're looking at, somebody, one of our listeners thinking, wow, like I wish I could land a client like that, right? I wish that I could really pick out somebody who would be my ideal person to work with and help them go through such a transition. I mean, in your position, Laura, if you were to go out and just try and find another client just like that today, who you could have such a great impact with, what would be your system or approach for finding that individual?
It is making sure that you understand what your client's looking for, so that you really understand your ideal client. And I think many businesses don't. They had a couple people come in and buy, and then they went, well, we'll just run with that. One of the things that I do with my clients is when they are, maybe if they've been in business for 3 to 5 years, what I'll do is I'll go and talk to their favorite customers, right? And I will learn why they bought from them, all of the different things, like, what would you tell a friend that they needed to know prior to? But what it's really helping me do is target the messages to those people, because if they're your favorite clients, you probably want more of those, right? And it doesn't necessarily have to be an industry. I think we all get hung up on industry. I think it's more the type of client. What is not their demographics, but the psychographics of that person? Because then you can totally tailor all your messaging. And if you don't have the right messaging in today's world, you are like just ancillary noise out there, right? It's hard to become that person that really understands what their clients are doing and wanting and can help them with it. So if you don't have your messaging right, you're gone.
Yeah. So,
and, I work on mine every day because it's an ever-changing thing depending on the client that you want to work with too.
And I expected an answer similar to that from someone who had a marketing agency previously. You need the right messaging.
I tell my clients, I am a business mentor, but I certainly look at it through the lens of marketing, because I think marketing is everything about your business.
Marketing definitely is. I mean, you need sales, you need clients, otherwise you don't have a business if you're not actually providing anything at the end of the day, right? So if we're looking at your messaging today, Laura, and you don't have to share any of your secrets right now, but what are you doing to attract more of these right people systematically, not just in the messaging, but how do you actually acquire clients with that in mind?
So I have always said that Really, you need three things in business to market yourself. You need a website that describes what you do very well. You need raving fan customers, and you have to have a great referral database. So people that you are connected with that will refer you. Once you've got that, all the rest of the marketing stuff that you do is kind of like, eh. However, I would say, so I network a lot, a ton. I go to several networking groups. I have surrounded myself with people that can provide things that my customers need that I don't do so that we can help each other. And then I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn and trying to do it the right way, not like how many times a day do you get those spammy connection messages? That's not how I play. I just want to talk to people, so I'm like, hey, how you doing? Or are you having a great day? And that will get people to want to talk to you way more than those spammy messages.
Yeah, I mean, human connection, relationships, actually building trust through showing value. I mean, the social proof as well of having those referrals and those testimonials and everything is incredible. And
Yep.
I'm curious then, Laura, with these things in mind, in the position you're in right now, the amount that you can truly impact businesses, what is your vision for top floor mentoring? Where are you wanting to take it in the next 12 months?
That's really interesting. One of the things that I have been looking at, and I just started a couple of months ago, going after kind of a different picture of who I like to work with, because doing one-to-one coaching, there's only so much of you that can, be out there in the marketplace once you've done with like 80 hours a week, which I don't work 80 hours a week, but I wanted to scale. So I have been looking for businesses that are like 50 to 100 employees, which I still consider a small business, that are trying to help their existing employees become leaders. So I do group training and do 2 hours a month, and then I go out and I work with people in the training for an hour during that month to make sure that they are actually implementing what they learned in their life, because I've found that I've gone to a million great trainings in my life, but when I get back to work, that all just goes because you get so focused on day-to-day stuff, right?
Yeah.
So if you have an accountability partner going, hey, how's that working for you, kind of thing, it really makes an impact, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's all too easy to slip back into old habits, especially if you don't have that accountability partner. I mean, group trainings, I think we've all been through them at companies that we've worked for as well, and it's exactly that. A lot of great information, a lot of valuable information, but you're usually just on your own to try and make all of that happen after the training is over, and maybe we retain 10 or 15% of it.
Yep.
So, Laura, making this shift, right, to businesses, let's say mid-sized small businesses, 50 to 100 employees, that's a shift from what you're doing right now. It sounds like you're primarily, a big part of your business is referral-based and relationship-based. So how are you making that leap from, your current client demographics and psychographics, smaller businesses, to that mid-sized small business?
So again, it's going to go back to building out who do you know that work with that type of people, that type of business, and building that really nice round, we're helping each other get things going.
Amazing. Yeah. So with that in mind, I mean, you said you're spending time on LinkedIn, you're building relationships, you're going through your current network as well. The market today is pretty crazy when it comes to mentors, coaches, and consultants. There's a lot of noise. You even mentioned just like we're all getting spammed on LinkedIn with really low quality, probably AI messages or, just spammy outreach that doesn't work anymore. There's a big problem in today's market, but it sounds like you're separating yourself through relationships and through real human connection, right? What do you think needs to happen for you to really tackle these market challenges? I mean, because we say you, but everyone's up against them right now. So for coaches or mentors in your position, what needs to happen to really separate yourself from the noise?
Well, there are a million of us out there. There is no doubt. So number one, you who are listening to this, when you're looking for a mentor, make sure that you talk to a bunch of people and you feel like you're very comfortable opening up to that person. Because when you do this kind of work, you really have to be honest about what you're good at and what you're not good at and that kind of thing. The other thing, and I'm always laughing about this with older coaches, we're like, do you not love the life coach that's 22 years old? I mean, I don't mean to be mean, but how much life experience have they had to help you with?
They were teenagers. They know everything.
Yeah, well, I know. but it does make me laugh. I think, all this gray hair differentiates me. That 37 years,
My
because
beard's
I've
getting gray
seen
now.
so much in business. You know, I can say I watched a client try that, and maybe we should try it this way because here's what happens. So that is the differentiation, and the fact that I don't have a canned program. I come to you and
Mm,
look at you and say, what do you need, right? And go from there, you know.
mhm.
And every time I talk to you, we start with, what's your biggest problem this week? Let's solve that, and then we'll go on with some of the teaching and some of the other planning that we need to do.
Okay. So it sounds like you're really just leaning into your strengths and really what differentiates you, right? Your
Mhm.
experience, as well as obviously the relationships you've built and what you see working for yourself as well.
Yep.
So when we look at, the position you're in today, where you want to go, what it is you're doing to tackle those challenges, where does AI start to come into play to help you separate yourself from the competition?
Well, part of what I love about AI is I use it to ask questions, to do research a lot, because now I'm playing in a little bit different market than I was playing. I really need to understand what are their pain points and things like that to be able to have a message that's going to resonate with them, right? So I first do research, and then I'll be honest, I'll give it a topic that I want to talk about and let Chat, or Claude is my favorite for writing, go Claude, write me this article, and I'll read it. I never would put up exactly what Claude says, but it gives me so much fodder to be able to embellish on that really shows my knowledge and who I am. So I use that way. I'm starting to work a little bit with, here's my LinkedIn database. What are their pain points? How do I go after? Yeah, it's all just it just depends on what your needs are with AI.
Hmm.
But I'm going to say what you're hearing everybody else say. If you are not planning to get involved in AI right now, by the time you do, you're a non-entity.
Hmm.
It's very important to be understanding how your business can use that. And there's AI consultants that can look at your business and go, what problems do you have? Let's solve them with this kind of thing in AI, which is very different than what I do.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but you need to be using it, as you said, right? Without use of AI, I mean, we are in a tech-driven world. Things are changing rapidly, even faster than they did, through COVID with the real uh, commercialization, let's say, of platforms like Zoom, right? Video conferencing. This was just the beginning. But if you're not using AI, you're facing the concern and risk of going obsolete very quickly. Well, not
Mhm.
very quickly, but quickly enough that if you don't pick
Quickly
it up,
enough, yes.
yeah.
Well, it's kind of like in the old days when people said, "Oh, I don't need a website. That's just a fad," right? It's like, "Hello," or my kids who will laugh at me and go, "Technology. You didn't have a microwave when you were a kid." You. So
Well, you're
every
luckier than they because you get to really take advantage of it in a different way, right? You don't become so
Well, it just
complacent.
cracks me up about, you were talking about how fast everything moves. I mean, in my lifetime, it's crazy. But in my grandfather's lifetime, it was insane. And he was a huge, it's just funny. I love my grandfather. He's now since passed, but he got huge into computers in his 80s. I mean, it was just amazing, to go from there wasn't a car to now I'm on a computer.
Yeah, the rate of change is unbelievable. But Laura, beyond the tools you're currently using, what do you think is one area where you see AI having the most transformative potential for business coaches and consultants or mentors in the near future?
One of the ways that I'm using, and I think that this will become very transformative for us, is to I record all my calls and then I will put my calls in chat and say, I have an idea where I want to go next, but let's see what you think based on the last 4 conversations that we've had. So it's going to give us like another mind that sees things that maybe you don't see, right? To
Mhm.
then say, you're right, there is that hole there that we need to work on. So I think it's going to allow us to be better at what we're doing for our clients.
I couldn't agree more. That synergy that can be brought to what it is that we do and the enhancement of our own abilities and
Yep.
new perspectives. So, what sort of advice might you give to other business owners who are still maybe hesitant or unsure about how to integrate AI or when to start using it in their own operations?
I would say start using it in marketing because that's where the value can hit impact immediately. You have to be able to train it and tell it who you are and what you do and what your messaging is. But that's not hard. You just have to, at one point, take all the documents that you've already probably put together because you've been working on it, just give them all to Chad or to Claude and say, here's who I am. I want to send an email out like this. Then don't, like I said, don't send the email out right from Claude or Chat. Make it be yours.
Fantastic. Laura, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today. To wrap up, what's one piece of advice that you would offer to our audience of entrepreneurs and business owners who are looking to make their own growth shift in business or in life?
Everybody needs a mentor or a coach. So find somebody. And, I hear a lot of the time it's like, oh, it's so expensive, but it will actually save you money because you will not make the mistakes that we make and waste money because you're paying somebody to look at your business and help you, and it's an outside perspective. Other than that, hang in there, man. As long as you hang in and you do the same consistent things, you're going to be okay.
Fantastic. Laura, thank you again so much for joining us on the Growth Shift today. For our audience who might like to connect with you to learn more about what you're doing or maybe to even work with you, what would be the best way to find you online?
I would say LinkedIn is the best place to find me, and it's Laura Lorenz. You'll find me. Also, my email is laura@topfloormentoring.com, and my website is, and I know everybody knows www, but I need to fix my website so that if you don't put www in, you won't find me. So www.topfloormentoring.com.
And that's a wrap on another episode of The Growth Shift. If this conversation sparked something for you, whether it's a new perspective on failure, a strategy you want to try, or just the reminder that every setback can become a setup for something bigger, hit that subscribe button and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Remember, the leaders who thrive aren't the ones who avoid change. They're the ones who shift strategically through it. If you're ready to build the systems that help you grow without the chaos, head over to valentix.io. We help businesses like yours scale smarter, not harder. I'm David Zylstra, and I'll see you in the next shift.